Family, this is Blue Nola coming at you to do a reading about Prince. Oh my God, like I'm excited. Last night I had a dream and I feel like I have to go ahead to do this reading. I know I talked about the fact that I had made a request to do it and the pendulum kept saying no, and then I just feel differently today. So we're moving forward with this reading. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button, guys. Prince, he is everything. He's everything to all of us, to me especially. Um, you know, um, I think he was one of the most amazing entertainers ever. I love him actually over the music that Michael Jackson did. I love Michael Jackson, but connected with Prince for whatever reason on a much deeper level. From Minneapolis, been doing music since he was in high school. Energetically, he's been loving and doing music even way before then. Way before then. I mean, I pulled some cards on him. It feels like since he was 3, 4 years old, he was involved in music in some capacity. Um, his mother, his father, the connection tumultuous. Um, his life was he was a puzzle. He was a puzzle, but ultimately he was a private person and he wanted a certain level of privacy. I just feel so connected to him. I feel so connected to this reading. It is a pleasure and an honor to do this reading, almost like the Lil Wayne reading. I just feel so honored to do this for him and for us. For me, like for me. Oh shit. Again, he's been doing music a long time with Andre Simone, with Morris Day, all of these people. Morris Day recently he's promoting a book. He recently did some interviews about his relationship with Prince. And, he talked nothing but good about Prince. And, and so for all the things that people try to say about him in the media, he was like, Prince was just a straight up person. He was about his business and he wanted no foolishness. You here to do your job. And he didn't feel like, he was like slacking his faloozas basically. He was always about the work, always about, he said Morris Day said he never seen somebody work like Prince worked. Prince has so many bad women, huh? I mean, golly, child. I could have been one of them. Let me stop. Child, but he like, he had some bad women now. Shit, what her name? Vanity, Apollonia. My auntie, I thought she was cool. But Prince, I mean, he had some bad sisters. I mean, some bad women. The last girl I think he was with before he passed, she was attractive. He's always surrounded himself with beautiful women, just very, very attractive women. So I know there's always been a question about sexuality. We're gonna pull on that energy as well. But Prince he was just a man. Listen, my camera, the lighting in my camera is just totally different. I haven't adjusted it. It's just like this light is just coming to the room. So just bear with it. It might go off and on. So let's see. Let's see what we're gonna talk about with him. No children. He and Maite were pregnant twice. The last child had some type of issue with the skull, so no children. He was also married to another girl, Manuela, that she looked very similar to Vanity, oddly, to me. She looked very similar to Vanity, so it's amazing how that all worked out. But now she's married to Eric Benet. Let's see. My favorite Prince songs. I would say if any of my friends that I grew up with in the neighborhood were to see this video, I would say it would be I Would Die For You. We literally, like, I love that song. I love that song. I mean, I would play that song over and over again. So I would say I Would Die For You would be one of my favorite songs from Prince. Another song I love Dove's Thieves in the Temple. I think that's one of my also a favorite song of mine. I love what's that name? International Lover. International Lover. Oh, I love that. Oh, child, that whole that all that moaning and I love that. That is just so sexy to me. So anyway, we're gonna do this reading on Prince Rogers Nelson. Prince Nelson. We're gonna just call him Prince. He leaves behind just his friends, all the women that loved him, his legacy. Oh my God, amazing. Let me tell you, people were surprised he didn't have a will. I'm not surprised, because remember, he fought so much for people to have ownership and contracts, not have contracts and not have them chained to stuff. I'm not surprised he didn't have a will saying who was getting what. He was like, hell, when I'm gone, I don't give a damn. You know, like that's how he felt, right? But it is important to have a will, in all seriousness, because if something happens to you, you want to make sure that, you know, that things are in order for your kids, for your spouse, for yourselves, or whatever. So don't follow Prince in terms of that. But in terms of the music, definitely, you know, like make sure you try to own your masters and stuff like that. All right, so let's go ahead and start on Prince. So, Spirit, let's bless the cards, guys. Let's bless the cards. We're using this deck, the Rider-Waite deck. This is a deck I felt connected to in terms of Prince, Spirit, and Prince. This reading is for Prince. Rogers Nelson's, please pull forward. Please give us some insight, some guidance, intuition on your life as a child, as a grown man, the music business, the lovers. Surrounding your death. So this reading is for Prince, Rogers Nelson. Prince, go forward. Thank you so much. Spirit, give us your divine light, your wisdom, your guidance, your intuition. Provide us with the information that we need to see on Prince. Thank you so much. Thank you, God. Amen. Thank you. Whew. All right, so I'm ready. Okay. All right, so here we go. So, Spirit, give us 3 cards for Prince. What was the energy around Prince when he was little? What was the energy around Prince when he was little? Ooh, let's let that card fall on out. What was the energy around Prince when he was little? Thank you. All right. Ooh, okay. So Prince kind of... So just looking at these cards from the beginning, this is too crazy that he got the 3 of Swords from the beginning of this. It feels like, okay, so the cards start off telling me like Prince always had a certain level of, it's almost like he carried a certain level of sorrow with him. This is what it's telling me, guys. This is the first card. This is crazy to me. Also, it feels like he was a very, this talks about his religion. This talks about him being highly, despite the appearance that he gave us, he was always connected with his spirituality. He was always connected with who he was. So it's almost like he was two people. There was always a conflict around him in terms of that, right? So internally he was one person and outwardly he was someone else. If it makes sense to you. The King of Pentacles is here, and this is talking about the fact that this man, like, if he didn't know anything else, he knew how to provide. He knew how to he was very generous. He was somebody who created a lot of abundance and a lot of wealth around himself. But it energetically feels like when he was younger that it feels like his life was filled with conflict about his religion versus the person, the persona, the Prince persona. So you understand, it feels like like this is what his there was an issue with that. Okay, he's got the Ace of Pentacles, the Justice card, and then we have the 5 of Swords. It's interesting that he's got these cards. I mean, it feels like for him, it just feels like somebody who took these opportunities that he was given. Again, being prosperous, right? Being prosperous, making sure that he created adventures. This man always created opportunities. He was able to earn a coin, if you will. Okay. He just felt like, people, he felt he didn't have any tolerance for dishonesty. He didn't have any tolerance for people who were unaccountable. So that's why in his life, when you hear people talk about the structure, the way he worked, the things that he did, you had to be on schedule. It felt like he was in the studio for 14, 15 hours a day. He didn't like people who were unaccountable. He liked to work. The next card that he's got the 5 of Swords. And this is speaking in reference to the fact that he just had some, towards later in the years in his life, he did have a desire to reconcile with some of the people that he had issues with. This just feels like it came out as a general reading of who he was as a person in his life. This is what it came out to be. So it just feels like he kind of started off almost like being in conflict. his religion has always been in the forefront of who he is. So even back in the day with Purple Rain and controversy in 1999 and all the androgynous stuff that he had going on, it was like he took on a second persona to do that. And so that caused a lot of strife and heartache and stress in his life. So this man literally was two people. I hope that makes sense. All right. All right. So we're getting cooking. We cake. We're shaking. We're baking. Spirit, tell us a little bit about the relationship that Prince had with his father. All right. Remember his father had a band. I think he had a band called Prince Rogers Band. That's where he got Prince's name from. So his dad was also a musician, and he had a band I think called Prince Rogers Band, and that's where Prince got his name from. So I don't know if anybody knows that. I listen. I know a lot about Prince. What was the relationship between you and your father, Prince? Can I get tumultuous? I'm hearing tumultuous. Why? His father didn't always agree with the way he lived his life, guys. Tumultuous, yes. Tumultuous. Okay. Here's the card here. It talks about difficulty in choices, right? It talks about indecision. Again, his father didn't agree with his choices in life, how he lived his life, okay? The King of Pentacles is back. However, Prince was able to provide for his father, was very generous towards his father as his career started to be successful. His father was actually around him. This is energetically telling me, despite the fact, like, I think if they had social media back in the day when Prince was like popular, you would have seen his father more. His father was always there. We just didn't see him because it's like, you just didn't see him because it's not like today where everybody is catching a picture of this person's father and this person's dad and this person. But his father was always around. His father, it feels like his father was in his home, or his father was around his home, always in his home. Especially once he got bigger and popular, his dad was there. All right. So his father just didn't like some of the choices that he made. That's what it looks like, especially when he was younger. Tell us about the relationship that Prince had with his... Ooh, child. These cards need to be picked up. Tell us about the relationship that Prince had with his mother. Her name is Maddie Shaw. Highly protective of his mother. Highly protective. Loved her. She was a very calm person. Energetically. Yeah, he felt like he felt very connected to her. But this is very odd. Okay, so but this card is the first card is the Eight of Swords. The reason why I say this is very odd is that sometimes he felt like with his mom, like he couldn't win with her a little bit. You know, it just feels like one of those parents that always is finding something like, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, and you should be doing this and you should be doing that. It feels like that energy sometimes. So yeah, she had a calm disposition at times, but there were times that she was kind of needling him a little bit, right? So it made him feel like in prison, like he could, like she was always like, you can't do, almost like restrictions. It feels like he was on some restrictions sometimes. The Knight of Cups is here. This is just talking about the fact that he experienced, again, fickleness with her. Fickleness. This makes sense, right? And sometimes she had the ability, his mom, to make him feel like some doubt. So with his mom, it feels like she kind of made him feel afraid sometimes, or concerned sometimes. You know, sometimes parents instill in you their views on the world and how things are, and sometimes they imprison their children with some of their fears. It feels like that. It feels like his mom was like that. So she seems like a nice person, but it feels like it was more about trying to protect him from the world in a way. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. So tell us about Prince as he started to descend into fame. Tell us about his career. Tell us your career, Prince, as you started to really get into fame. 1999 era controversy. Tell us about that. Fun. Electrifying. Sex. Women. All right. Ooh. All right. He had to balance it all, right? So listen, his religion was always in the forefront of what he did. He had to balance it all, right? So he's got the temperance card, which speaks of some balance in his life. Remember, when you have a major, it trumps the rest of them. So with this temperance card, what it's telling me for Prince is that he had to find some path. He had to find a way to manage it all. He was very good at navigating in terms of his environment, the people around him. So when people were doing drugs, that didn't mean he had to do drugs. When people went off a cliff, that didn't mean he followed them. He was literally his own self, his own mind, his own man. He took his own path. He created his own lane. Bottom line, period. You see how this person is walking away in here? This is actually the Eight of Cups, right? So this person is basically, he has in some of the situations that he was in, if he felt like something wasn't right, he walked away from it. He, like, you're doing something he doesn't like, he did not, he kept balance in those situations. So despite the fact that he was who he was, he kept a close circle, he kept a tight circle, he kept balance, he knew what path he was going to take. And this is why I feel, and he say home is coming to me. This is why he did a lot of stuff in his own home, in his own space. So if he was in an apartment or a condo or a home or a hotel, he always brought the party to him. He never went into the party. It speaks about him having security, because if he felt that anything was wrong at any point, he was walking away. But this is why he brought the party to him, because he kept control. He found a path. So he found a way to he found a way to be involved, but have control of the involvement, if that makes any sense to you. Okay. So that's the first card. Tell us about any, I'm gonna ask this question. Tell us about any negative people that are around Prince during that time. Any negative people that were around Prince during that time. Again, he balanced it all, right? This man was a master at balancing, again, people that are around him, his involvement with people, right? Balancing the decisions. His priorities were straight. He was able to adapt. This man did an amazing job at adapting to his environment, his situation. You could not control who he was, what he did, and how he did it. You couldn't control his money. You couldn't control his mind. You couldn't control him, period. Even the women around him couldn't control who he was and how he moved, okay? All right, so let's stick with relationships. Tell us about Prince's relationship. Tell us about relationships with women, Spirit. Let's just get a general idea of how Prince felt about women. Because he had some specific relationships, some significant relationships, but let's just get a general idea about his relationships with women. Prince, romantic relationships with women. Sometimes he didn't want to be tied down with them. He wanted to be free, right? He wanted to be free. He wanted to be free. Yeah, he was in control of it. This man was, like, literally, you see how when he passed, so many women were devastated and so many women were heartbroken. This man was literally that type of man that made women feel like, oh my God, he made them feel amazing. He made them feel amazing. The Five of Cups is here, right? The Five of Cups is here. So basically he made them feel amazing. But the thing is that he would, when he would leave, if he left the relationship, when he would break up, these people would feel such a sense of, they would feel such, this is a Ten of Cups. These people felt so happy with him. They felt so happy with him. They felt a sense of contentment with him, a sense of peace with him. Feeling, this man made them feel so loved. He made people feel like family. He made you feel welcomed in the environment. So as a woman, you really felt the connection with him. And this is why when he passed, you had so many women that just, again, they were just so connected to him. His religion once again pops up. All right. So his religion was always in the forefront of who he was in terms of his relationships. But his relationships with women were up and down. Yeah, his relationships with women were up and down. Also, I will tell you, it feels like Prince with women, being not just women, let me stop saying with women, with people in relationships, he could get bored. He can get very bored with women at times, right? He can get very bored in relationships. And I think the reason why I keep saying it because I want to ask questions about other stuff when I keep saying about women. But it feels like he would get with this four cups, it feels like he could get into a situation where he had to start choosing his happiness in situations. He's got this moon card that's in the middle. Sometimes there will be some misinterpretation about what his feelings were when certain relationships. But the main thing is that he was a free spirit. He wanted to be free. He wanted to keep the relationship beautiful and wonderful. And when things started to get chaotic around the relationship, he seems like that type of person. When things are going good and it's great, he's great. But when things start, if you start needling him too much and getting on, being like his mother, remember his mother making him feel in prison to situations? If you started to become like that, he started to move forward. So that's what it feels like. Also, it feels like he could easily just kind of check out of the relationship at a certain point. It's almost like how I want to say it? It's almost like he always wanted a new beginning in relationships. So I don't think he would have ever been in any relationship for too long. He was like a free spirit. He always wanted a new beginning. So even like with Maite, energetically, what it just felt like with Maite, it just felt like he was just over the relationship. It felt like the relationship had run its course. He feels like that with different people. Energetically, whether it's bandmates, women, friends, he's the type of person, it feels like run its course. He's saying to me, run its course. He wanted change. He liked to change. He liked to evolve. It's almost like he liked to create again, remember the beginning, new opportunities, new ventures. He liked to create new paths. That's the problem. That's the way he was. So I would say anybody that dealt with him, you have to go into it knowing this may not last for you. This may be short-lived. This may be a situation where he may deal with you. I feel 5 is coming up. 5 is the magic number for him. After 3 to 5 years, he's ready to make a change. Okay. Tell us about his relationship with Vanity. She was beautiful, talented. I mean, I felt like she was talented. She brought a certain element to him and to their relationship. Tell us about the relationship with Prince and Vanity. Guys, their relationship, this is the Wheel of Fortune and it's in reverse. This relationship just had so much, there was no control in this relationship. He was really trying to cling to her. At a certain point, their relationship became too uncertain for him. She's literally the person that got away from him. This is the Strength card here. It feels like he felt so much doubt in dealing with her and insecurity in dealing with her. He loved Vanity. He loved Vanity. Yeah, he had to walk away from this relationship with her. He had to walk away. He was faced with, he had to walk away. He had to move on. He had to make a decision to move free from this relationship with Vanity. Tell us a little bit more about Vanity. It always felt like it was a conflict. Vanity was also in conflict of who she was and what she wanted to do. I know you guys heard her talk about it, right? Vanity, the Emperor. To her, Vanity, she felt like Prince he had too much control, too much structure. She felt she didn't like that. She didn't like how structured he was, right? That caused problems. She wanted to be free. Vanity. Yeah, she walked away from him and she walked away from him. So who broke up with who? She broke up with Prince. This is the 9 of Cups. This is in reference to the fact that, he was emotionally stable in this situation. We have the 5 of Cups, and this is speaking about, the fact that there was some grief and sorrow again, disappointment in that relationship. And then the High Priestess is here, and the High Priestess is here to just tell us, guess what? He had to start listening to his intuition and his voice about the situation. He couldn't control the situation that was going on with Vanity. She was like she was very wild to him. He loved her, but and she loved him, but she couldn't take the way that he was doing things. She felt He was being too controlling over her life. You got to remember, this is at a period where Vanity was heavily into drug use. She was on a whole nother path. Remember this, you're dealing with a man who was very in control of himself, in control of his environment, in control of what was going on. So you put a drug user like Vanity with somebody who's structured and wants certain things to happen, it's going to cause division. So in dealing with her, he had to have a lot of strength. It turned his world upside down. He eventually had to walk away. Bottom line. So as much as he loved Vanity, he had to walk away from her. All right, so let's switch gears. Spirit, tell us about the relationship that Prince had with Apollonia. I mean, I know she was a co-star, but let's talk about this for a second. You know, I heard Morris Day and them talking about the fact that she wasn't just a co-star to him. Like Prince didn't even want people talking to her on set. Tell us about the relationship between Prince and Apollonia. Right? Vanity was supposed to be in Purple Rain, and they broke up, and that's how he ended up coming with Apollonia. Because it was Apollonia, it was Vanity 6, I think it was, and then it was Apollonia. I can't remember what the name, I think it was Apollonia something, but anyway, relationship with Prince and Apollonia. All right, so it looks like with Apollonia looks like she was more connected to Prince than Prince was connected to her, all right? They have the Nine of Cups and it's in reverse. And this is just talking about the fact that he wasn't totally happy in that relationship with Apollonia, right? They have the Tower card. Eventually, their relationship started to shift a little bit, right? They had some success together in Purple Rain, but eventually that also failed in terms of, well, not failed, but things started to fade between them. They have the Six of Wands, and that started to fade between them as well. This is talking about the fact that she had some emotional baggage. It feels like she had something she was bringing into the relationship with them. He wasn't for it. He didn't have time for it. It created a shift. So I think if Apollonia would have come into the relationship without baggage, they would have had more success. But it feels like she came into it with a certain level of, she had some other things going on in her personal life that created a problem for him. You got to remember, he's the type of person, through growing up with his parents, his mother, you can't bring too much drama to him because eventually he's going to walk away. This is what it feels like. So tell us a little bit more about the relationship with Apollonia. Yep. That's what she brought to him, guys. She brought that type of relationship to him. Same relationship his mother gave to him, which is a little bit of tension, a little bit of, with this Eight of Swords, right? A little bit of it feeling like, he just felt like he couldn't get anywhere with her in terms of the relationship. Again, this card always say, damn if you do and damn if you don't. He felt like that with her, but she was bringing some emotional baggage that created a shift in their relationship. This is why they had a demise. Okay, so Apollonia and Prince. All right, so let's talk about Prince and Maite Garcia. I was like, what is he doing? I was like, I can't remember how old I was. I know she's a teenager and I was a teenager. I was like, what is he doing with her? He could be with me. No, just joking. All right, so let me stop. I don't know how old she is. Shit, I don't know. But anyway, I just felt like she was young. So Maite Garcia. Tell us a little bit about Maite and Prince's relationship, please, Spirit. He said he basically is showing me that she was too young. She was enamored with him. She loved him. She really loved him. She didn't just love him for who he Prince. She loved this man. She loved him. They had a connection. He outgrew her though. Again, he outgrew the relationship. Page of Swords. Yep. Page of Swords, right? She was like a child to him at some point, right? Very chatty patty. Yeah. He was still, remember he's a grown man. Again, he got discontent with the relationship. Discontent, right? Yep. He started to feel like she was holding him back, right? There were moments in the relationship where he would just have some self-reflection. He would pull back in the relationship. It's like it feels like after a point, he felt like he made a mistake marrying her. He made a mistake with dealing with her. It feels like he loved her, he cared about her, but he was too in and out with her. He was too in and out with her. He felt like he had to balance it all. He felt like he started to change as a person. There was a lot of self-reflection. It feels like he was saying some days, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? He was always up in the air about the relationship. He's got the 7 of Cups here. It feels like the relationship was always up in the air for him. It feels like, again, a lack of purpose, it was confusion sometimes. So it just feels like he felt like he made a mistake after a while. But yeah, like he just feels like he made a mistake, right? Home balance. What's this? The 4 of Cups. It feels like he had to eventually choose happiness. He wasn't happy with her after a while. He had to accept it. He was aware of it, right? I'm sorry. It feels like, it feels like, he just felt like he had a lack of support with her. It was conflicts. It just feels like he just regretted marrying her at some point. It was like, and I'm going to tell you, by year 2, he was over it. And he wasn't being honest with Monte. This is actually the 7 of Swords. And it looks like he had to eventually come clean. He had to come clean with her about how he was feeling. He was deceptive with Maite. So it feels like he was he met her. She was young. They had a good connection. And at some point, it's like every little thing she probably did or said just annoyed him. You know how somebody eating you, like, you getting on my nerves. Somebody drinking, stop drinking so loud. Somebody stop chewing. It feels like that. It feels like after a while, he just got annoyed with Maite Garcia. Okay? And that's what it feels like. I'm going to pull some cards for this ex-wife, Manuela. And then we're going to move on to some other stuff. Tell us a lot about Prince and his relationship with Manuela Saloni. I think that's how you say it. I'm going to just say Manuela. Tell us about Prince's relationship with Manuela. Oh, Jesus. Wow, this is falling all out. The Queen of Cups. This relationship with Manuela was not good. Not good at all. It feels like this lady was almost... Okay, so she's got the Queen of Cups. This lady it feels like this lady, it just feels like they didn't have it's like the connection just kind of, it just feels weird. It's like their connection it went left somehow, right? He felt attracted. It was like when he first met her, he was very attracted to her. I think he was attracted to her for the wrong reason. I'm going to be honest with you. It feels like, you know how I say she looked like vanity? It feels like that. Like there was an attraction to her. He felt a magnetic attraction to her. And then he had to start delving into his feelings about the relationship, right? So she entered his life, and it feels like it was more of a physical and not a mental connection. And then the relationship feels like it's all business. It feels like too much business and not enough pleasure. It just feels too businessy. The Empress is here and it's in reverse, and it's just talking about the fact that he just looked at her as somebody who was selfish and empty, and it just feels like the connection wasn't there. They didn't have a good connection. It feels like he married a woman purely on the fact that he was drawn to her looks. He was drawn to her. She looked like vanity. He married her for all the wrong reasons. Okay, tell us a little bit more about the relationship with Manuela. And their relationship, it looks like it was based on a lot of business, right? Yeah, eventually he had to break off from it. All right, this is a devil card, and this is talking about the fact that, you know what? Also, too, she dealt with him in a period of his addiction. This is what it's also talking to me about. So Manuela may be more aware of the addiction that he had going on, because this talks about addiction as well. He had another card in here that talked about addiction, pleasure. Okay, so there were 2 cards in here that talked about addiction, about some addiction. So I think Manuela was aware of the addiction that he may have had at this point. Okay, And again, they have the Two of Cups together. I mean, the Two of Pentacles together, and it's in reverse. And this is just talking about eventually she just became overwhelmed with the relationship, and then it just had a breakdown. So it looks like he married her for the wrong reasons. Their relationship looks too businessy and not enough love. And then it feels like some addiction played a part in their breakdown as well. And then it just went off the hinges. So that's why it feels like their relationship was in and out so fast. All right. I just feel like he married her for the wrong reasons. And looks like she wasn't willing to have a child. Or there was a dispute about having children. Or maybe he wasn't. It feels like okay, let me see. It feels like, yeah, there was a disagreement over having children. She looks like she wanted to have children and he didn't. It feels like a disagreement over children, guys. And that's like it was a deal breaker for her as well. I think she would have stayed longer if she was able to have kids with him. But it feels like he didn't want to have kids after the last experience. So let's talk about career. Let's talk about his relationship with the people from Minneapolis. Give us an overall picture of what was going on with like the people from his time, Morris Day, Andre Simone, all these people that were around him. Give us was he in a good place with these people? Guys, he totally controlled the situation with them. You know, he totally controlled. He was a master in this. He was the one who created everything. He was the one who was able to adapt. He was the one that was able to manifest everything that they got. He put them in a position that they were in, right? There's also the Nine of Pentacles. This is talking about the fact that, you know, Prince, he was able, you know what? He was able to see the fruits of his labor, okay? This is like he was able to, you know, every person that dealt with him was able to live comfortably. Now, people talk about some of the salaries that they didn't receive from him, but, you know, that's a contract. That's something you need to talk about before you start working, right? That's something that you need to talk about before you take on a job. So this talks about the fact that, you know what? Job, work, you know, it's talking about fully appreciating life. So I would tell anybody, whether it's Prince or not, you know, when you go working in a job, a company, you have to be clear about the salary and the expectations. You can't wait, you know, until you get in a job and say, hey, I'm not being paid for this, you know, like you got to do better. Like, you know, people crazy to me. Like, they're just crazy with that. All right. So, let's switch gears. Any messages for your fans, Prince? This man, like, literally, like, not really. Any messages for your fans? Let's see. Any messages? Thank you, Spirit. Guys, it's like the music that's out here. He's like, what is going on with this music? That is too funny. He's like, what is going on with this music? He feels like people are still not being in their contracts. He still feels like people still are. He feels like people are still. He feels like people are focused on the wrong thing. He's got the Knight of Wands up in here. And what's interesting about the Knight of Wands is like he feels like people are not on a quest for knowledge. He feels like people are just like jumping into stuff and just it's almost like people jumping on the bandwagon. He's talking about artists. He's not talking about us as fans. He's talking about the other artists. He feels like people are too social media driven and jumping on the bandwagon and people are not as creative as they should be or need to be. He's talking about people still taking deals that they shouldn't be taking. People are just still doing the same thing. You would think that from what he's saying that they have choices to make and they're still doing this foolishness. You know, they're still doing this foolishness. They like the commitment, the agreement. He's talking about people are signing contracts and making choices in their business that's going to hurt them later. This is what he wants, the message that he wants to give to the artists that are out there. So if you are an artist watching this, he's saying to you, pay attention to the contracts. Stop following the trends. Lead your own life. Watch the contracts you sign. Do the right thing. Don't be on the bandwagon. Be a leader, not a follower. That's for you. What about messages for your fans, sir? Can we get some messages? I see you looking at me. You know, can I get some messages for your fans, please? Thank you. Can I get some messages for your fans, for me? Okay, thanks. Let's see. How many minutes we got? 40 minutes? All right. All right, guys. So so we have for our messages. This is what he's saying to us. The Knight of Swords, basically what he's telling us is that we need to again continue to be on a quest for knowledge. He's telling us with the 10 of Cups to embrace and connect with our families. It feels like he is with the 10 of Cups also telling us that continue to have an effort to achieve, continue to bring inner happiness and fulfillment into our lives. And last but not least, with the 8 of Wands, he is telling us that that you know what, we need to slow down. He's just talking about that social media stuff. Slow down, slow down, slow down. It's almost like he's bringing Kobe into it. Like, slow down. You see what happened? Look at what happened. Slow down. That's what he's saying. We're going to jump into these oracle cards and see if there are any messages that Prince would love to give. Slow down. Gotcha. Ooh. All right. Ooh, these are some good cards that popped out. Look at this. It says, nothing is yet set in stone. Remember, slow down. For those artists, this is for you. Nothing is set in stone. Take your time and read your contracts. Don't follow the trends. Follow yourself. Beat to your own drum. Okay, next card. Show the world the real you. Ooh, I couldn't pick better cards. Any other messages? You and your loved ones are safe. I really love that card. Any more messages? Yes. Believe in the impossible. Let's pull one more message from Prince. A win-win is always in the outcome. Forecast. So, guess what? We can all win if we change the way we live and the way we do things. He's all about work, achievement, goals, and making sure you get what you're due. Let's before we go, let's go into this, what happened with him when he died. Can I get some cards around, please, the energy? What was the energy around Prince during his passing? Knocked out. Like he said, he passed out. Passed out. Had been passed out for a while. Passed out. Feels like took something and it feels like not that long after passed out. Feels like he was they said on the boat. What am I saying? He was already sick, so it's telling me sick. Was already sick. Was weak. Yeah. All right. So it's basically saying to us that, you know, he felt like he was getting better at some point. He felt like he was getting better. He was sick. He was weak, and he did feel like he was getting better. He actually was trying to again feel better. This is about restoring some control. So he felt like he was getting better. He's got the Ace of Cups here. This is just about, you know, he felt very what you call it, he felt very blocked at some point. But he was feeling sick, and he felt like he was getting a little bit better. Like, you know, it's almost like a person that's been sick and they feel like they've been getting better. But he wasn't getting better. He wasn't getting better. The cards are telling me with this Moon card that it's almost like his mind was saying he was getting better, but his body wasn't saying he was getting better. Right? He was being very naive in the situation, right? He was very reckless, right? This is what it's saying. You can use another word if you want to. He wasn't being aware. Like it's like a person taking something and saying, oh, that people get sick and I feel better and they're not really feeling better. And then they go faint somewhere. It feels like that. He's got the Ace of Swords as well. All right. And what the Ace of Swords is just basically saying is that, he felt that what's funny? He felt he was getting better. And then he felt the disruption happening. Like he thought he was getting better. And then eventually he felt the disruption. So did he feel like something was going to happen to him? He got sick. He started to feel better. He thought he was okay. And a disruption happened. He felt the disruption coming. He felt the end. He felt it, guys. He felt it. Yes, he felt it. He felt it. This is the Four of Swords, all right? He felt it coming to him. So it was like this man, I hate repeating myself because I watched the videos like she repeated it, but it's almost like I'm just restating the obvious, but it feels like he felt it coming to him. Like he felt sick. He got really sick. He felt a little bit better, and then he started to shift very quickly. And he felt it. And so he's like, damn, I thought I was getting better. And I feel like, you know, now it's like his mind was telling him one thing, his body was telling him something else. Yeah, he thought he was getting better. And he wasn't getting better. This is the actual Eight of Cups. He wasn't getting better. All right? So he was in fear. He started to get fearful. So he felt himself going down. He felt himself going down. Yeah, he felt it. But he felt like he's done everything. You know what? At the end of the day, he feels like he's fulfilled what he was supposed to fulfill. He's completed his journey. Yep, he completed his journey. And now he's no longer prison to anything and anyone. He felt like he's taught a lot of people. He feels like he taught a lot of people a lot. He feels like he's been not only a mentor to the people he mentored directly, but he's been a worldwide mentor to people. You know, because of him, people now can, you know, have the courage, the inspiration, the passion to do music and do business in general and fight for their contracts and their rights. And that's what it looks like to me. It feels like he was somebody who is just with this Eight of Pentacles. He just was somebody who at some point, you know, he feels like people started to have no motivation. So through him, hopefully you'll have more motivation. But it just feels like during his death, he was sick, he was weak, he was tired, he thought he was getting better, and then he started to take a shift. It almost like he underestimated how he was feeling, and when he started to shake a shift, he felt the shift happening. There was dependency in these cards twice, so there was some dependency. There was definitely some dependency. Yeah, there was definitely some dependency in these cards. Yeah, there was definitely some dependency. And then ultimately, you know, it's like there was just some conflict and stuff like that, some indecision. The end was for him. But this is the reading on Prince, guys. I just feel like I just love him so much. He's done so much for everybody. He is such an inspiration. He continues to be an inspiration. He is the man. He's going to always be the man. The death of Prince was nothing sinister. There was no hokey pokey, all this foolishness that people be talking about on social media. He was Illuminati. He was the person, this and that. Shut the hell up. The man was in pain. The man was taking prescription pills. He had been taking so many prescription pills to control the pain from all of the years of being on his feet and dancing and jumping here and jumping there. If you even hear Sheila E. talk, she talks about the fact that he was in pain. It was just that simple. We need to stop making everything a conspiracy and just say, guess what? He took something that was too strong for him. He was already sick. He was already weak. He was already under the weather. And he took something that his body couldn't handle. He thought he could handle it, but he was not even thinking that. That's the bottom line. We still love Prince. He is still a man with a plan. Thank you so much for joining me. Give me a thumbs up for this video. We will be back with the other videos. We got to still do Left Eye. We still got to do Whitney. And I still got to do, who's the third person? Aaliyah, yes. But these are bonus ones. Bonus ones. I'm starting with these guys because this is who I'm connected